What's going on, guys? This is Boss Janssen, and today we're going to carry on our Back to Basics series by looking in depth into EQ. I have the song in front of me, Miavaova by Raza. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And I think it'd be great for this lesson to check it out. So as we saw in the last video, I'm using Logic for this lesson. So if anybody sees anything that could be more smoothly and more efficiently done, please let us know in the comments. We're all trying to learn together. So with that being said, let's take a look at, our lead vocal. That'll be the easiest place to start. Open up our EQ and talk about the parameters and what we should be looking for when looking to grab towards an EQ and why. So as you can see with our stock Logic EQ here, there's three main parameters that we're going to have to be concerned with if we're going to know what we're doing here. So the first one is frequency. Obviously, that's just which frequency along the spectrum that we're going to be affecting and what the center frequency of our bell or whatever it may be. Under that, we have the gain, the amplitude here. So that's basically, are we adding or taking away decibels, volume, whatever you want to call it. And the last one down here is Q, or bandwidth. And mathematically, I forget what the number equates to. It basically signifies the width of frequencies we're going to be covering within our EQ move there. So when we go down, it's going to be a wider bandwidth, a wider Q that we're covering way more frequencies. And then as we go higher, it gets narrower. So for the sake of this lesson, let's just look at cleaning up our lead vocal as far as our EQ is concerned. Because typically my mix process is in 3 steps, and the first step is always subtractive EQ, which means taking out anything we don't like before we move forward with compression and adding things of that nature. So let's just check out what this vocal sounds like dry in this first verse and see what we should look at taking out of there.
Mandani futona amenjani tungo chani twera na samia fasha diniluna kumiuva enemeta difona savatratsiana na isikia ulumbeluna vizanuni nifyan.
So yeah, it's a very well recorded vocal as usual. So the first thing I always grab towards when it comes to vocal EQing is just this low cut here. So with that, we see another adjustment of a parameter that we haven't talked about yet. This parameter is decibels per octave. And basically that just means how many decibels are we going to take out per octave, because the slope is going down to 0 hertz. And how harshly do we want to take out these frequencies as it slopes down? So in an octave being the half of each frequency, so once we go from 100 to 50 hertz, at 50 hertz, you're taking out 36 decibels already by that point. So what's that slope going to be going from 100 at 0 to 50 at 36 decibels below? So that's basically what that slope is, what that parameter means. So for the sake of Neoni's voice, because it's not that thick and deep, I might try and cut it at around 162, 200 range. And let's see what low mids we might be able to take out. That's the next first thing I grab towards.
Mandani futona amenjani tungo chani twera na samia fasha diniluna kumiuva enemeta difona.
So yeah, a great tactic with finding what you don't like is raising the EQ up and pinpointing the area that sounds bad to you, and then just dropping that straight out once you figured out exactly what area you're looking for. Typically, I would have gone for this first fundamental that we see right here. That's what I'm normally grabbing towards. But as I raised it up, it didn't annoy me that much. As I said, Neoni doesn't have a very thick voice, so that area didn't annoy me. What I was hearing was that next harmonic, this next spike right here, and I raised it up, and I heard, oh, that's it. Let me take it out. And the last kind of type of EQ that we can look at, which I normally leave to our additive EQ when we're, boosting later in the chain, is a shelf like this if we need a little more high end, for example. So let's start boosting that around and see what we get with in this scenario, just for the sake of example.
Mandani futona nitungo chani twera na samia fasadi njiluna kumiuva enemeta divona tavatatsiana na isikia ulumbeluna vizanuni nifya.
Yeah, so with that, when you play around with the cue, you can get a bunch of, weird and wonderful little shapes out of that. But yeah, as I said, I wouldn't use that on this first EQ that I'm using for Neoni to start the chain. Could easily be useful elsewhere, if we hear the piano doesn't have enough high end on it. Other than that, EQs are very simple, especially with the stock EQ that we have here, very visual and very easy to just grab what you're looking for and see what you do and do what you see. So if there's any questions on anything I haven't described clearly enough, please leave them in the comments below. If you have any other ideas for videos that you would find helpful, please in the comments. Thank you. Please subscribe so you don't miss the next gem. And other than that, have fun mixing.